After the funeral, the church smelled of damp wood and wilting lilies, the kind of scent that clings to your skin like grief. I stood by the casket, my hands trembling as I adjusted the single red rose atop the polished mahogany. Daniel was gone. My Daniel, with his crooked smile and calloused hands that used to hold me like I was the only thing keeping him tethered to the earth. Heart attack at 42. No warning, no goodbye. Just a cold hospital room and a doctor's voice that sounded like it was underwater. I was drowning in it still, the weight of his absence pressing against my ribs. The funeral had ended hours ago, but I couldn't leave. Not yet. Not when the silence of our empty house waited for me. Instead, I drove to my sister's house, where her son's first birthday party was in full swing. The contrast was jarring. Mourning to balloons, tears to laughter. But I needed it. I needed the noise, the chaos, anything to drown out the echo of Daniel's laugh that still haunted me. The backyard was a riot of color. Primary red streamers, a bouncy castle wheezing under the weight of screaming kids, and a table groaning with cupcakes and a garish blue cake shaped like a dinosaur. My sister, Lena, flitted about in a yellow sundress, her laugh too loud, her smile too bright. She hugged me tightly when I arrived, her perfume sharp and floral, and whispered, "You're so strong, Mara. You'll get through this." I nodded, my throat too tight to reply, and let her pull me into the crowd. I drifted through the party like a ghost, clutching a glass of lemonade that grew warm in my hands. People offered condolences in hushed tones, their pitying glances slicing into me. I smiled, nodded, and excused myself to the edge of the yard, where the grass gave way to a scraggly rosebush. That's when I saw it, a glint of silver in the dirt, half buried under a tangle of roots. I knelt, my black dress soaking up the damp earth, and dug it out. Locket. Heart-shaped, engraved with a looping D&M. My breath caught. It was the one I'd given Daniel on our 10th anniversary, the one he swore he'd never take off. I pried it open with shaking fingers. Inside was a photo of us, smiling, and a tiny folded note. My heart thudded as I unfolded it, expecting his handwriting, maybe a love note he'd never shown me. Instead, it was Lena's handwriting. "Meet me tonight. Usual place." The world tilted. My vision blurred, the note trembling in my hands. It couldn't be. Lena, my sister, the one who'd held my hand through Daniel's diagnosis, who'd cried with me when he collapsed. It was a mistake, a coincidence. Maybe the locket wasn't even his. But the engraving, D&M. Daniel and Mara. Or Daniel and someone else. My mind raced, stitching together fragments I'd ignored. Lena's late-night texts to Daniel about work. The way she'd linger when she dropped off casseroles during his recovery. The perfume on his jacket that I'd convinced myself was mine. "Mara." Lena's voice cut through the haze. She stood behind me, her smile faltering as she saw the locket in my hand. "What's that?" I stood, the note crumpled in my fist. "You tell me." My voice was low, jagged like broken glass. Her eyes flicked to the locket, and for a split second I saw it, guilt, raw and unguarded, before she masked it with confusion. "Where'd you find that?" she asked too casually, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "In your yard. By the roses." I stepped closer, my pulse hammering. "It's Daniel's. The one I gave him." "Why's your note inside, Lena?" Her mouth opened, then closed. The party noise faded. Children's shrieks, clinking glasses, the hum of adult chatter, all swallowed by the roar in my ears. "Mara, I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice cracked, and her hands twisted the hem of her dress. "Don't lie to me." The words burst out, louder than I intended. Heads turned. A few guests paused, their smiles freezing. Lena grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the house. "Let's talk inside," she hissed, her grip tight. I let her lead me, my legs numb, my mind a storm of betrayal and denial. In the kitchen, the air was thick with the smell of frosting and spilled wine. She shut the door, blocking out the party, and faced me, her eyes wide with something like fear. "It's not what you think," she started, but I thrust the note at her. "Then explain this. Meet me tonight." Usual place. What the hell, Lena? Were you sleeping with my husband? Her face crumpled, and for a moment I thought she'd cry. Instead, she straightened her jaw tight. It wasn't like that. It was a mistake. Moment. Happened once, Mara, I swear. After his diagnosis, he was so scared, and I was there, and once. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. You don't write usual place, for once. How long, Lena? How long were you betraying me? She looked away, her silence a confession. My chest ached like my heart was being carved out. I thought of Daniel's late nights at work. His distracted kisses, the way he'd pull away when I reached for him. I'd blamed his illness, his fear of death. But it was her. My sister. I loved him too, she whispered, and that was the knife that broke me. Not past tense. Present. She still loved him, even now when he was gone, when I was burying pieces of myself with him. You loved him. I stepped back, my voice shaking. I was his wife. I stood by him through chemo, through every hospital visit, while you what? Snuck around behind my back. In my own sister's house. It wasn't like that, she cried, tears spilling now. He was confused, Mara. He didn't want to hurt you. He loved you. Then why? I screamed, my voice raw. Why did he choose you? She flinched, and I hated her. I hated her for her tears, for her guilt, for the truth she couldn't hide. But I hated myself more, for not seeing it, for trusting them both so completely. The kitchen spun, the walls closing in, and I clutched the locket until it bit into my palm. The door swung open, and Lena's husband, Tom, stepped in, his face pale. What's going on? He asked, his eyes darting between us. I froze, the note still in my hand. Lena's gaze locked on mine, pleading, desperate. And then I saw it, the opportunity for revenge, sharp and cold. I could tell Tom everything, let her world burn the way mine was. But as I opened my mouth, the weight of it hit me. Destroying her wouldn't bring Daniel back. It wouldn't erase the betrayal. It would only shatter more lives. Tom's, their son's, mine. I shoved the locket into my pocket, the note with it. Nothing, I said, my voice flat. I just needed a moment. Tom frowned but nodded, stepping back outside. Lena's shoulders sagged, relief mingling with her guilt. I wanted to scream, to claw at her, but instead I turned and walked out, past the balloons and the laughter, into the dusk. The locket burned in my pocket as I drove home. I didn't know if I'd ever confront her again, if I'd tell Tom, or if I'd carry this secret like a second grief. But as I pulled into my empty driveway, the house dark and silent, I realized the worst betrayal wasn't Lena's. It was Daniel's. And the cruelest twist was that I'd never get to ask him why.